Welcome to this new adventure called Internal and Externally Balanced Flywheels. I'll be right back with you. Go walk around this, do whatever. You see me pull it out. It's pretty good. You've seen it. New intro. I might make up another one where I'm driving. I haven't done that yet. You got about 14.3 seconds until you see me again. Welcome back. Let's get it. I need a beverage or something. I'll be right back. Hello, everybody. It's really bright outside. It's time for us to get serious about some stuff, namely vibrations. Not good vibrations. Not that kind of vibrations from the Beach Boys. I'm talking about engine vibrations. And I'm talking about internally and externally dampened engines where, they're balanced, internally, externally balanced. So, you guys might be familiar with that car right there, possibly. You might possibly be familiar with it. So, ever since I put it together and I got it going, so let's back up. So, I got the motor from my buddy Rob. Rob had the motor in his S10, had maybe 10 miles on it. And it used to run an automatic in the S10. And then he got a transmission, a Muncie 4-speed, the 21 that's in it, a blow bell, hydraulic, McLeod, throw-out bearing, all that kind of stuff for the truck. And so when he put it together, it was in there. And the day that we swapped the LS into it, we pulled the 6-liter out, or pulled the 6-liter into that and pulled the small block out and stuck it in this car, I noticed there was no flywheel or clutch assembly in the engine. I thought, that's weird, but maybe Rob was just mocking it up. I asked him, and he said, yeah, that's probably pretty much what I did. Hold on a second. Hold, please. That is unacceptable. That's better. I can't. That's nuts. Okay, so a little bit farther forward. He says, I got a flywheel and the whole clutch assembly for that. You don't have to buy one, but he didn't have a disc. So he did have a nice big McLeod Borgen Beck style clutch, which is a 3-fingered big setup and big coil springs. They are for like heavy truck, heavy clamping force. You get clutchitis, which means your left leg gets bigger from pushing the clutch on that thing. And, it works pretty good. He did have a flywheel, he said. So we went hunting for it. Ironically, the flywheel was not with any of the small block Chevy stuff because, most of the small block Chevy stuff was now in my car, and it was in his S10. But he does have a 454 in pieces. Good heads, all that stuff, a whole balance rotating assembly, all that kind of stuff. And ironically, we went searching down in his shop for all the extra parts we were looking for. The shifter's over here and stuff's over there, and the flywheel was on this bottom shelf. That particular flywheel right there. Don't pay attention to this stuff. That flywheel right there. And ironically, it was right next to all the internal components that used to be in the 454. Now, hi baby, what are you doing? Oh, look at you, you're so cute. Good girl, Molly. Okay, the astute ones of you, which is everybody, you know who I'm talking to, have probably figured out by now that that flywheel was actually intended for the 454, and it is. It is, and it was. Because the 454 is externally balanced. Although his balance rotating assembly may be internally balanced. So this would have been a stock 454 flywheel or for a stock externally balanced 454. Why did it fit the small block? That's a good question, because the bolt pattern's the same up until 1987 when they came out with the one-piece rear main seal stuff. And then the bolt pattern, these 6 bolts get smaller, and the center hub and the hub on the crankshaft, ironically, is smaller OD. That did change, and so here's the difference. Let's take these over. Let's take a walk. So here's this one, big block flywheel. Notice the teeth aren't messed up. No real hot spots. It's for a big 11-inch clutch. And then, what's this? That's a plant. We don't want to look at that plant. Get out of here, plant. This is a small block Chevy flywheel. Hold on. Get out of here. Okay, now just, oh, this is not working. This comparison is not working. Okay, you see the differences? Anybody see it? Call it out if you do. That's right, kids. You see this big block right there? You see that right there? Look at that. This is ironically the lighter flywheel. They have these that are solid. They're the heavy ones, which means they have a lot of more inertia, which means the engine will take a while to rev, but it stays up, and so the RPMs stay higher. A lightened flywheel will rev really fast and come down real quick. Centrifugal force, inertia, all that kind of stuff. So there's the differences. Small block or internally balanced, zero balance basically, perfectly balanced, just like your balancer is. Externally balanced, and your balancer will have a notch too, or a weight. Let's talk 400 small block. So 400 small block, we know. Everybody's like, oh, I got to do a 383, which is a 400 crank and a 350 block, or a 400 small block with a 406. From the factory, they were externally balanced, which would have used that flywheel, same as a 454. If you put that on there, but the you put a zero balance flywheel on a externally, if you put an, okay, what am I trying to say? If you run a mix match setup, depending on how mix and matched you have, if you have a, let's say you're building a 406 or a 383 and you buy a custom Callie's crank or something, if you're paying attention, it will say balanced assembly, like internally balanced. It'll tell you zero needs, so you would buy a zero balanced dampening setup. So your balancer would be that for like a normal 350 or just a zero balance, and your flywheel or flex plate would be the same thing. Now, if you're sticking this 406 back in an original car and you try and run the stock 400 balancer, which is notched, and the stock flywheel, which is notched, or flex plate, which is weighted like that, the flex plate also has a weight tack welded to it, you will notice a slight vibration. More so if you have imbalanced front. If you have an externally balanced front balancer and externally balanced flywheel, it'll be much more noticeable than if you have a combination of the two. Case in point, this car. This has a blower crankshaft snout on it, just on the crank, so it's neutral, and it uses the blower belt and the supercharger as the front dampening assembly, which, lucky for me and low RPMs, that whole system, the belt, absorbed most of the vibration in the car. With this on the back, I had a weird, funny vibration. It had a, which drove me nuts, and I had to do some sussing it out. I had to suss it out. So it started out, I fired up, it felt smooth, I rev it, and it gets to about 2,200 RPMs, and it had this weird vibration, but it'd be gone before that and gone after it. Like, 25, 2,600, it was mostly gone. 3,000, it was gone. Below that, same thing. 1,800, you could slightly feel it. 2,000, 2,100, 22 was real rough, and then it would go away. So then the next setup was I was driving it. And remember, I had these differentials. So I had my 355s and I had the 411s, and I was swapping gears around, and I was thinking, maybe I got an issue with the pinion bearing. And then I had the drive shaft, which was old, out of my other 57 that you guys may or may not remember. The parts car that this hood came off of that I got from George. Remember the one that was like 6 feet too long? That's the one. So this good one in here, and I changed the U-joint. I used the jack stands. Showed you how to do it with a hammer or a rock or whatever, and a dedicated pair of pliers or a screwdriver or a pocket knife or a Leatherman. I showed you how to swap them out. So that was it. Put the drive shaft in, put the U-joints in, changed the front U-joint. Still chasing it. Figured out it was mile an hour, and it was at the same mile an hour, but it would change with these two gear ratios. Ironically, it was the engine. How I figured it out was I would go through all the gears, and then finally I would sit there in neutral and see if it would do it. I just was eliminated. So you start with a big picture, and then you start moving back to front. You start eliminating things as you go, big pieces, until you get down to, well, it's got to be between the input shaft on the transmission and the balancer on the front of the car. So it's not inside the engine, so now it's inside. It's behind the back side of the crankshaft and the input shaft of the transmission. Well, there's only a couple components. Clutch disc, flywheel, pressure plate, throwout bearing, pilot bearing, incorrect alignment for the bell housing possibly, which it's not. So those are the things you eliminate. Well, you know that the clutch disc is balanced, has to be, because it's spinning at different rates, and you know that your pressure plate's more than likely balanced because it has to be. You don't want it, you would never take a unbalanced, no one would ever build an unbalanced clutch or pressure plate setup and throw that on a balanced engine. That's just crazy. They don't differentiate. It's just easy for production. So you save the balancing or the imperfection to the flywheel, which was that one. So my buddy George had two. I'll show you the difference. So this one is for the big clutch. See the perimeter holes for the clutch? This is for a small one. This is for a 10.5. This is for an 11. I can run a bigger disc if I want to. Right now I'm just running a 10.5. Or this is for a 10-inch and a 10.5 or whatever. That's the difference. They are identical other than that, other than the weights and the balance. It's easy to get confused. And here's the thing. The reason I'm making this video is because, you know, some people are of the opinion that I'm sort of smart, which, you know, I've got a lot of you fooled. And my lava lamp's in there and I'm not turning it on. Sorry, guys. That does have a 4-speed. Even guys that are perceived smart or pros or whatever, no matter how much education you have, no matter how many times you've done this, look, it happens. What's weird is when I was throwing this thing together, which you may be asking, why didn't you notice in the first place? Good question. When I was throwing this in there and throwing it together, Rob and I were talking about it, and I was like, boy, that looks like a externally balanced one. He's like, no, I'm pretty sure that's the one I got for this motor. Okay, and Rob is like equally smart. He's brilliant. Rob like knows his stuff like the back of his head. So you got two smart gearheads that are doing this their whole lives. You get two of them together and you can like convince yourselves of anything. You get a gut feeling, I'm pretty sure that should go on and off. But we're so focused on setting the adjustment of the hydraulic throwout bearing on this, which uses shims. We had the transmission in and out about 100 times. Setting shim length and measuring and making sure it was centered, you know, the transmission to the bell housing, all that stuff, the indexing. Which you may recall, I had a funny squeak on my engine, my transmission. Do you remember what it was? That's right, it was a pilot bearing. And did I show you how to grease a pilot bearing? I didn't. Well, I'm going to. Here's a pilot bearing right here. The proper way to grease a pilot bearing, this is one for a small block Chevy. If you notice it has oil in here already, because I did it, anticipating having to change it. Let me pull it out of this oil. Hold on, hold please, hold. So, my wife's going to be mad if I set that there. Okay. Here it is. This is the B656. That is the bushing for a small block Chevrolet, or basically Chevrolet. This side, if you look closely, is not concave. This side is. Do you see the difference? This goes out to meet the input shaft. The input shaft. Here, we'll use this tool. How about this? This is one-handed. Here we go. So if this is the input shaft. Hold on, I gotta clean this. Hold please. Hold on a second. Hold. Oh, look at the weather. It's so beautiful out there. It's awesome. Look at that car. Okay. Oh, look, it's miraculously clean. So this is a 10-spline GM, 10-spline inch and an eighth, I think, or whatever. So, ironically, Ford, I think, is an inch and a 16th, but they'll work together. They're sloppy, isn't that? That's Ford. Don't do it. Okay, so this goes against the flywheel side, or the crankshaft side, actually. This faces out. So the pilot bushing, this is your input shaft in your transmission, goes in there in the back of the crankshaft, and this is where your clutch disc rides on because it's splined. And it essentially goes in like that. You guys have put clutches in. So how do you grease these, you ask? Very good question. I'll show you. So you take your finger and your thumb like this. And how am I going to do this while holding the camera? This would be interesting. So you take motor oil. It's called hydraulics, kids, hydraulics. I've already done to this one, so you'll be able to see it again. Hold, please, I gotta open this up. Trick is, can I pour this in here? So the goal is I'm gonna pour oil in here like this. I'm gonna set you so you can see this. I don't particularly have a stand. Hold on a second. See if I can make something up. Will you sit right there? You will, but you can't see anything. I gotta, oh, no. Let me get the light on. Hold on. Stay. Hold there. Stay, puppy. Stay. Back up. Is that it? Oh, that's it. Okay. Oh, no, stay. Good girl. All right. Can you see this now? I'm hoping. You'll be like, where did you learn this trick? Wait till you see it. So you put oil in here. This is awkward. You put oil in here. You use whatever finger covers that hole. You put oil in it. You fill it to the top. Like that. And then you take your thumb and you squeeze it really hard. And you'll see, here I'll show you with a rag. I'll wipe it clean and I'll squeeze it. Hold on. It's hard to do when this camera's not at a good angle. Is that better? Hoping you can see this. If I take it like this and I wipe it clean, if you squeeze it really hard, you squeeze the oil into it, it starts sweating. You see those bubbles on it? See that drip? That's how you force it in there. And you literally force oil through the whole outside of that thing. And now that's oiled for life. That bushing will never run out of oil. Even if you wipe it off, it's now impregnated because bronze is super porous. You can actually force it without oil to come through. I mean, you need oil in there, but once it's forced, you can actually squeeze it and do it. But that's it. So that's greasing a bearing. That thing is greased. I can put that in a small block at any point, or any Chevrolet. I can put that at any point. That's why this bag has oil in it. I already did it. That's for my next swap, which I don't know when I'm going to do that. But anyway, that is how you do that. Hold, please. I got to clean this up before I grab the camera. Okay, I don't know if I'm making sense on the internal or externally balanced. It should be for the most part. I don't know why you guys are so sideways. Come over here. It should be for the most part logical. But mistakes happen. Talking to your buddies, whatever, you're working on something, hold please. Like I said, you can convince yourself of anything when you're building something. We were so focused, like I said, on that hydraulic throw-up bearing because it was more technical than what we thought. Oh man, I gotta clean off this thing. Oh, check out that shirt. How's that for a lava lamp? I think my brother-in-law sent that to me, or my sister, or somebody. If you did, you gotta tell me who it was. Anyway, that is a... Oh, by the way, it runs great. So the next video you see of me driving this will be... That's another thing I talked to you about. When I'm driving it, so here's the deal. My wife's work schedule is Monday through Thursday. She's on a different island. When she gets home on Friday, she works from home. Saturday, Sunday, we spend together. So I don't drive this at all. This is a work car. Basically, it gets driven all week long, surfing every day. And on the weekends, we take the 4Runner because that's hers. We might put the boards on it. It holds 2 boards. So I don't get to film on the weekend. So my car quiz today stuff, things I was going to do for every Monday, is now going to have to be moved till Tuesday because I got to drive it on Monday and make a film. So I'm driving it Monday and filming it, and the next time I might be able to put a comparison video of me driving it in the same location with it before the flywheel swap, which I've already done obviously, to now the way it drives now. And let me tell you, Well, it drives just like a 57 Chevy. It is smooth going down the road. And the only thing I hear is the pipes and the blower belt. That's it. No more vibrations, no more funny anything, no more having to make stuff be quiet inside the car and have little things taped everywhere and pieces of cloth or cardboard crammed in places so it'd shut up and not be noisy. That doesn't happen anymore. I'm cleaning up stuff, by the way. This is approved oil cleanup, by the way. Anyway, that is your video, kids, for an external, internal balanced setup. I hope I covered it. If you have any questions, ask. Mainly, I just wanted it was confession time. Even I make dumb mistakes. I make them all the time. So don't be hard on yourselves. And hopefully, if this helps some of you guys doing a motor swap, that you pay attention to balancing, because, you know, matching the right components, first inspection, those look pretty obvious, right? Not on the front side, you can't see any balancing holes. Be hard to tell. But on the back side, ooh, it's a different story. Totally different story. And if you didn't know what you're looking for, you wouldn't know the difference. I will say this, and Rob brought it up, and some of you guys may have noticed this. You're driving down the street and you cruise along and the car runs fine for a long time. Let's say you have a 400 small block in your car or a 383 that is externally balanced or something like that. And you're cruising along, even a big block, and you're having a great time, have an automatic. And then all of a sudden, the thing runs, like has a vibration, it picks one up. If you've ever seen it, the weights that are tack welded to they're actually just spot welded to the flex plate, they will come off. Generally, it's due to a crack flex plate. The ones I've seen, the flex plate will crack for like an unbalanced torque converter or something like that, a torque converter impeller going out or who knows what, and the flex plate goes south, and then it'll have enough vibration where it'll throw the weight. And when that happens, then you get a real subtle vibration in your car that you didn't have before. So, like I said, well, here's the deal. Once I put this flywheel in here and everything was great, it was like glass from idle. I didn't even realize when I fired, I didn't realize it was running. I didn't know that it had such a subtle vibration from idle on up. So there's those things too. A fresh motor, you got it all together and you think you have it right. The balance can be slightly off. What happens, it can be totally catastrophic though. If it goes on, or if I had to rev this thing or started racing it, it would just beat the bearings out of the bottom of it. Or if this thing was running high boost, then I would beat the bearings out of it as well, because it'd just be multiple different issues on it. Did I hurt it? No. Is oil pressure good? Yeah, everything is. Should I pull the bearings out and look at it and verify? No. Nope. Not gonna. Drives good, has good oil pressure. It actually runs cooler because it's under less strain, which it didn't run hot before. So now I have that to contend with. Head temperatures were right around 220 pulling my big long hill. Now they're like right around 210, which that's not a big deal. As soon as I sit the intersection though, the thing cools right off from the fans because the heads aren't making any more heat. I'm not under load. Gas mileage, that's a good question. We'll see if it goes up. Anyway, that's it. Should we walk out here in the sun and see what it looks like? Let's do. Oh, it's going to be bright. Here, I'll blind you. I'll block your eyes. Oh, sorry, guys. Okay, now it's better. Oh, look at that. Twice pipes. No, I haven't changed George's bumper yet. He's mad at me. Look at that 5.7. Oh, does that surfboard look different? It does. Because it is different. My buddy Skip gave me that one, loaned it to me because my board got tangled up with a paddle boarder and the whole nose got blew apart. My friend Brian's fixing it. My arm hurts. I got wiped out. This guy wasn't paying attention when he was surfing and just, I mean, it was crazy. Big wave. I was in it in the barrel and he come out of nowhere. I think he was on top of it. He got caught in it somehow or ditched his board. I don't know. All of a sudden I was inside the barrel, you know, like wiping the water, having a good time. It was great. And the next thing I know, I'm underwater. There's fins in my face. I'm getting hit in the back. My arm hurts. And I come up holding on to a paddle board. Don't know where my board is. And my board's 250 yards inland. And the whole nose is blown apart. So I don't know what happened. I didn't get knocked out or anything. I wasn't like blacked out. I just was like, it was weird. It was crazy. Anyway, I'm fine. I know he didn't mean to. It wasn't malicious. Anyway, I don't know what that has to do with anything. Anyway, see you guys later. Talk to you guys on the next one when we go driving for your car quiz. And if you guys have been paying attention and you haven't gone yet, Puglisi's Speed Shop over there, Chaz, has your questions. And I will provide your answers probably on Tuesday while we're driving to go surf or somewhere. Maybe we'll pick a road to go on, but more than likely be surfing. So get your answers in. He has a great question. His question, well, you have to go watch his video. Go see him. And if you haven't subscribed to him already, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Because he's pretty funny. He's a pretty good guy. He's got some good videos going on. And Chris at Ironhead Garage, he's the one that called him out. So anyway, see you kids. There's your flywheels. I got to return that to George, and that's got to go back to Rob because he got to go with his assembly to go be balanced. But that's got to go back to George along with the 9-inch stuff. I don't need them all. See you guys later. Aloha.